we have the power to make a difference.
This message brought to you by Cumberland Electric Membership Corporation.
Serving Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, we are AM 1100 WSGI Springfield, God's Informer.
One street over there's a life I could have known, one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Times gone by, I've traded black dirt into clay. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. I took a walk one street over.
Hello. How you doing out there, Robertson County? This is 1100 WSG. I'm Utah LaVern, and yes, this is one street over, a chance to see what's going on. One street over from where you're living. We are living right because we get to live and work in Robertson County, and that's in the words of our wonderful county mayor, Mayor Billy Vogel. Loving what we're doing. Today is Friday, and it is for Robertson County schools. Today begins spring break as soon as you get out of school. Just real quick rundown for what happens with high school kiddos. If the high school kids, parents, yes, if you send a note with your high schooler to school saying they can leave after second block, then they can leave, but they got to have transportation. They've either got to have somebody, they're either driving or you're going to pick them up, or, permission to ride with whoever. But nonetheless, it has to be in writing, and they give it to their second block teacher, and then they are dismissed. But if they stay at school, they'll be dismissed as normal at 3 o'clock. And then once they get home, we're off next week for spring break, and it's going to be cooler than normal, but than what we've had. So hope you're going to a sunny spot where you can enjoy the beach. But next week, I'm taking a few days off, but I am going to be here Tuesday and Thursday. We've got Barry and Rebecca Richards going to join us on Tuesday to talk about Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. Yes, that's St. Patrick's Day, but Thomas Kilgore was of Irish descent, so we thought that'd be a fun tie-in. And two, we are going to just talk about real estate stuff. We love to touch base with Barry and Rebecca, our longest running full-time sponsor, and we want to, have a chance to just talk to them about the market heating up when it comes to real estate. So we're going to be talking to them about that on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, I get my first visit with TriStar, and I'm looking really forward to that. That's kind of the reason why I picked that day to come in. So anyway, we're going to have a great week next week. Lee Marie's going to cover Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'm going to try my best to get some things done around my house because I have not been able to do it. Matt Driscoll's with me. Y'all know Matt. He is one of my longest running full-time friends. He's been on this show so many times because when first time you came on this show was over another studio.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the first time he called me. It was hysterical because, I mean, listen to him talk. He ain't from around here, right? Okay. He's got that.
It was over in that
Yeah.
across the hall, right?
Y'all hear that draw? You hear that, that.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, exactly. That northern draw. Of course, I'm married a Yankee, but anyway, so
A different Yankee though.
huh?
It's a different kind of Yankee though.
It really is because my husband is. We talk a lot about. He is a Youper, and until I married him, I never really thought about the fact that Michigan was in two pieces.
Well, we don't
I never knew anything. I just didn't know anything about that.
Well, you got like so anything like I guess west of the Smokies isn't really considered the North.
Yeah.
We don't consider it the North. So Chicago, Michigan, Ohio, all that out there that you guys would still call Yankees is like we don't really consider them one of us. Well, it's kind of like
we don't consider him one of us.
No, we don't.
Because you're the Northeast, and it's very different.
Well, it's kind of like in the South. I mean, you can't really compare. Tennesseans are a lot different than folks in Louisiana.
Very true.
Or the Carolinas are a lot different. It's a different mentality, right? So to lump Southerners all into one, they get a little twitchy.
Yeah,
and it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same the way. I mean, because a Yankee is considered truly, really the Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York. That part of it. Maybe Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Where are you originally from? I know, but tell them.
North side of Boston.
Okay, and then you spent some time in Maine. How long were you in Maine?
On and off. I think my last 2 years of high school, and then we moved back there 3 years before I moved down here.
Okay, and so in military, I mean, he's been all over. Not only because as a child, you were. How many different high schools were you in?
5.
5, and that just kind of gives you an idea of how you bounced around. How many different times have you changed your name?
3.
Okay, let's just kind of tag that on. You need to hear a testimony at Celebrate Recovery. It's incredible, and just a phenomenal testimony of what the Lord can do. And but nonetheless, my dear friend, first time he came in, I mean, because you get a perception of somebody from your first meeting, and I was like, who is this guy? Because you talked funny, and you were talking about, and this is not. We're gonna go down some rabbit holes. This is Faith Friday, and he is. What's your degree in ministry? What do you have? You have a
counseling.
You have a counseling degree, and but you went to seminary.
Yeah, but I took the counseling track instead of the preaching track.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you had an option of either doing from the pulpit or from the counseling chair.
Okay. I don't think I really realized that the differentiation.
It's kind of like it's like teaching, where you can get a teaching degree in administration. I'm working my doctorate for curriculum instruction. I don't want to be an admin. I want to do.
You want to do okay.
Yeah, so it's like any other degree where you can have a focus. Okay. So we had most of the classes were all general.
Yeah.
Like right general seminar, but then it came to the point to have more of a specific, and I chose the counseling path.
Okay.
That's because of Celebrate Recovery at the time. I'd already made the choice before myself with my sister, but that definitely kind of solidified it, and just that's where I felt the call was I'd rather be kind of in the mud with folks,
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so funny you mentioned in the mud. There's something that we're doing midterms right now, and because I'm a career and technical education teacher, I take my kids down a road of what are you going to do with your life. I mean, all the time. I mean, big time. I do the general things that they need to know for audio and video. I tell them I've got a very general kind of overview of audio and video tech stuff that if you're going to come out of a program, you need to know these things. You need to know what the settings on a camera are, those basic things. But I have on there questions about, if you're on social media, you are a broadcaster, true or false, true. I have this one about the knowledge doubling curve, about how quickly knowledge spans the globe now versus prior to 1900. Mm-hmm. And then I have one that I just added. I have a little blue business card that I give out that has on the back of it, if you want the world to change, you have to want to change the world. And I got to believe that's one of those things Spirit just gave me one day. I was trying to come up with something, and it just kind of just downloaded. And it may have been, I heard it somewhere else, but I believe the Lord gave that to me. And it just resonates. I want it to resonate with my life every day. If I want the world to change, I have to want to change the world. That means you got to get in the mud.
Yeah, you got to get off the couch.
Get your hands in. You got to get your hands dirty. And so I have a question now. It's going to be on every test I give from now on. If you want the world to change, you have to want to change the world. What does that mean to you? And then we've discussed it in class. I said, there's really no wrong answer unless you leave it blank. You know, you can be a smart aleck. I don't tell them that, but as long as they say something, and I've gotten some really deep answers. I've just really been, you know, I love where their minds go.
Well, from a business perspective, the one thing I always tell folks is, you know, as a manager, usually a lot of times if you're managing different aspects, you don't have time to worry about all the small things. So if you come to me with an issue, come to me with a solution too.
Yeah,
you know, take some ownership. Put some skin in the game.
That's what I've heard. Some of the ones I had 2 classes take the midterm yesterday, and a couple of them said I got to get some skin in the game. You know,
yeah, you got skin in the game.
Go
and take ownership. But that's where we also got to make sure we're giving people skin, allowing them skin in the game too.
For sure.
You know, we've all worked places where we're, you know, not given autonomy.
Yes.
And there's just no. It's kind of hard to own and take the pride in your work.
Whenever somebody's a micromanager above you and they never let you make the calls. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to have some skin in the game, have a little autonomy, and you'll thrive, but you got to make sure you're doing that.
Absolutely. What is the quote by Mark Twain? It's like the most important day of your life is the day you born. The second most important is the day you realize why you were born. Isn't that Mark Twain?
I think so.
I'm sure I butchered the quote, but
and even then, it's that changes, that morphs, and you know, if you told me, you know, all many years ago, all the things, the different paths I've been going, so right now I'm looking for a job and sitting down and explaining my career choices with somebody, I can't put it down in two pages. I mean, I'm 53 and I've always kind of gone with the Lord led with a lot of different things. You know, the Lord said, okay, hey, go do this job for a period. Go do this job for a period.
Right.
And okay, that's where He wanted me at the time. You know, and just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
That's just it. We learn. I've had so many places in my life where I'm like, what is going on, Lord?
I didn't see this happening.
What is going on? And in the things I've learned through it, man, I would not trade them. I would not trade them for anything in the world, but I don't want to have to relive them.
Well, that's kind of the hard part with, you know, with the youth. I know one of the things we're definitely going to focus on today is like counseling. But that's where wisdom comes from. You know, think about, you know, you think about Old Testament and you think about a lot of things that David wrote about. David wasn't writing his writings as a young man. He was writing them as an older guy. Right? He was learning, hey, this is what I've learned. Think about Ecclesiastes is nothing but wisdom. You know, it was like, okay, hey, life, you know, you may think you can go at it on your own, but 2 are better than 1.
That's right.
You know, a cord of 3 strands can't be broken. That's not a young man's thought.
No.
That was an OG, which stands for old guy. That was an OG thinking phrase or words that came out of his mouth on that one. And that wasn't young man, that was an old man, and you gain wisdom because David himself had to realize that, hey, I can't go in these battles alone. I need to have folks around me. I need to have you know, folks that got my back.
Yeah, for sure. And so this is Faith Friday, and full disclosure, this is usually the slot that Jack Martin slides into. He's still, you know, dealing with some stuff that he didn't feel like he should be driving himself today, and his son David, who normally drives him, was on shift. So he said, see who else can come in there. And so Matt and I have been talking, and this counseling, people just don't realize how important it is. And there was something, you know, so funny because I don't know how long ago it's been a few years ago, I think, where, you know, my husband and I had you sit down with us a few times. And one of the things that you told us we're still doing, and it helps us. And that was, and this kind of echoes back into, there was a class we took, I don't know, probably it was probably about 10 years after we'd been married, and it was called His Needs, Her Needs. And what you told us echoes that. It's like, do y'all really know what you need from your marriage? And sometimes it takes putting it on a whiteboard. Okay, here's what Mark needs. Here's what LaVern needs. Priorities. And we're not talking about, I want you to be sweeter. I mean, that may be part of it, but it may be because life is life. And one of the big things in our life right now, and I was just kind of where I was going when we first started talking, I'm really hoping over this spring break holiday that I can get my house in order, because we've been doing some renovation and stuff, and it's just been in disarray for too long. And it's time. It's time to kind of, finish it and move on. So that's the things, everything that, Mark and I are kind of stressing over right now. Mark wants me to finish the bathroom. He wants me to get some, this. And I want
priorities. And that's what it was priorities.
Yeah, exactly.
And if your priorities aren't aligned together, then you're never going to get anywhere. I think one thing I told we had talked about when we sat down was, think about if you're running a business. Now, this is all God spoke too, and that, I want to throw folks out here. This is still Faith Friday, because what I'm talking about is Christian counseling.
Right. Exactly.
And a lot of the counseling I give you, I'm going to put it in kind of modern terms you can understand, but it is scripture based. When I say that, I'm going to premise it by saying where Paul says, women basically, honor by your husband, but men, love your wives as Christ loved the church, all that kind of stuff. But it's touching each other's love languages and realizing that we're going to have, both men and women both have different sets of priorities. Mm-hmm. And if one party is constantly reaching the other person's priorities, and there's going to start being resentments in the marriages and this and that. So you would never run a business that way. And a lot of things I share with you guys is like, okay, I've been in corporate world where we're producing products for customers, and we run things a certain way to make sure we're getting product out. Mm-hmm. That's a successful company. Why do we not do the same in our marriage lives? So if you go to a job, you're going to sit down, you're going to have quality, you're going to have production, you're going to have safety, you're going to have all the different departments within the company sit down daily usually, and okay, where are we at? We're going to make sure we're hitting our KPIs, our goals. Mm-hmm. And usually there's some kind of whiteboard, some kind of documentation to show where we're at so everybody can see the information. But why do we not do that in a marriage?
Right.
Why do we not sit down and have, look, when it gets to certain parts of the morning meetings, I'm ready to fall asleep, but at least the information is there for me to hear.
Right.
Financial. Guys hate talking finances. Women generally do. But it's maybe an uncomfortable conversation or a boring part of the meeting, but you still have to have it.
Right.
You would never run a business that way, so why do we run our marriages? Yeah. And you look at why most businesses fail. They don't do some of the basics. Right. For the same reason that a lot of marriages fail as well. Mm-hmm. Communicating. I think that's something else we talk about is communicating. Is that, look, men speak one language, women speak another. Mm-hmm. And it's, you could say something to Mark, he's not going to hear it. It's going to go one ear out the other. But I could tell him the same thing, and he hears it. It's not because it's coming from a man, which that's what Christy always says. She's like, oh, that's just because another man told you that. I said, no, it's not that a man told me that. It's the fact that they said it in a language I was able to understand.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much the message, it was the messenger.
Yeah.
So we talk about, communicating feedback, and I bring a little military into that one. Like in the military, if I'm calling in an airstrike and I say, okay, I need ordnance dropped on coordinates A, B, there's something I want blown up that I'm looking at.
Right.
I'm going to call in artillery, and okay, I need ordnance dropped on coordinates A, B, 1, 2. Uh-huh. I expect to have feedback from the people on the other side. Okay, roger that. You need ordnance on AB 1, 2. Right. But if they respond back, okay, you need it on CD 3, 4, but that happens to be
where you are,
where I'm standing, that's not a good thing.
Right.
So a lot of times when it comes to communicating with couples, it's lack of communication. Well, he doesn't hear, he doesn't hear me, she doesn't hear me. Well, no, it's not that they're not listening. It's just they're not comprehending.
Right.
So learning how to communicate is key in counseling. Mm-hmm. Again, it's not rocket science, but every now and then it's okay to say, look, maybe we do need a third party to kind of, you can have a pretty solid marriage. It doesn't mean you're not perfect. But if you want to make it better, sometimes having that third party and kind of maybe pointing out some of the things maybe you're missing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and that's biblical.
You bet.
That's why it's a cord of 3 strands.
Right.
And that third strand can be your counselor or therapist. You just got to find the right one. And, counseling and therapy is kind of like the right pair of shoes. They don't. It's not so much about looks; it's about feel and fit. Yeah. If you got a pair of shoes that fit well, and they you got to be on your feet all day, find one.
Yeah, exactly.
So I definitely always encourage that.
How can people get in touch with you if they want to talk to you about counseling?
Right now, just give me a call, 615-598-3848. 615-598-3848.
Trained you well. You got to do it twice.
Yeah, do it twice.
Do it twice.
But no, we'll give that out. I'm going to start doing, my daughter does, my younger daughter she's a therapist now up in Maine. And she's doing really well, especially like social media wise and stuff. So she's kind of starting to coach me on that. So I'm going to start utilizing a lot of social media too right now. Start making some TikToks.
Yeah, I know.
I kind of cringe at it, but she's like, Dad, you don't realize how much this is. Yeah. So she does this run club. And it's awesome. I'm so proud of her. I'm going to brag on her for a minute.
Okay, talk to me about what that is.
So she started this run club for mental health and, just because, she's all like about physical fitness and stuff, which is great. So she started this run club and in it she will have these little YouTube videos or TikTok videos and she'll talk, while she's warming up, she'll talk about some, mental health stuff. It went so well that some local shoe company asked her to be an influencer for her, where they actually signed her a little contract.
Cool.
Pretty cool, right? Where she has some free sneakers and that kind of stuff. But she kept on going with it. Lululemon just signed her last week.
What?
Yep. She got a call from Lululemon to be one of their influencers. I was like, whoa, look at you go, girl. And it's from these silly doing TikToks and stuff like this. I mean, so... Yeah, I'm not expecting Lululemon to give me a call when I'm done, but I tell you, I said it happened to a great person because you're not doing it for the hopes of being a Lululemon. They reached out to her. They reached out to her, not vice versa kind of thing, because they saw the traction that she was getting. Yeah. With her posts.
Watch hitting that, you're making noise.
They reached out to her because of her posts. It's what happens when we do the right thing. Is what I told her. So I'm really happy. And then, they chose you because of who you are, not, for the way you're handling it. Because she's doing a great job with it. So she's starting to help me coach through that. So I'm going to start doing some, call them Mattisms, I guess, whatever.
Okay. That is really cool.
I'm going to start working on that.
I was just like, I hear of Lululemon, but I don't even know what it is. It's like.
It's a women's exercise clothing line, and they're huge. They're massive.
They're huge. Oh, that's really cool.
They're super massive.
And what is your? It's called. What is her thing called? The TikTok. What she does? Run something.
Yeah, it's like a run club.
Just a run club.
Yeah.
And what is her name? We want to look her up. I'm just curious. I want to see some of her stuff.
Oh, Emily. Emily Brazier.
Okay. And how do you spell that last name?
Brazier.
Okay, cool. Very cool. I wanted to see what this is. I mean, that's really cool. And honestly, part of it is because my son is also a counselor, and he's always looking for ways to get things going and that as well. So
it's hard.
Maine Run Club. How fun is that? I mean, she's popping up. How fun is that? Yep. I know you're proud of her.
Oh yeah,
it's really cool.
And again, she just had an idea to do something, and she's through it. Mm-hmm. She's going to be running the Chicago Marathon, which is these marathons aren't cheap to get into.
No.
Because of doing what she's doing, people have stepped up and sponsored her to do it too.
Yeah, very
so
cool.
She's she's had an idea and just ran with it. I mean,
I love it. I think that is
and because it's just the right thing to do,
Yeah. Well, so congratulations. Yeah. That's really cool.
And she's been kind of coaching her old man on how to manage the 21st century.
Yeah, that's just it. Well, and you talk about TikTok and all the things. I have some things that I'm trying to. It's really tempting for me sometimes when I have an open Faith Friday just to kind of just come in here and just start, spewing all the stuff that I've been studying. But I know I've got to package it in bites, so I can't just come in and just start. Because honestly, the things I study, that's what a lot of people do. It's just this overload. People aren't going to listen to that. They need the little and to get to the kids.
Yes.
Which we really want to. You've got to be concise, to the point. Don't waste their time.
We live in a world where everybody wants everybody to sit down.
Short.
You can't get a kid to sit down and watch The Godfather anymore.
Nope. Or I mean, I wouldn't want them to, but anyway.
Oh, come on. Godfather's one of the greatest.
I've never seen it.
Don't even get me started with you. Okay. There's like a gazillion movies you haven't seen.
He can't stand the fact that I'm doing this audio video program and I know nothing about.
Yeah, you walk into her classroom. She's got all these movies.
News person.
You walk into her classroom. She's got these movie posters all over her wall. Where she hasn't seen a single movie.
I mean, I know some of the technical aspects of it because
she hasn't seen a single one. It disgusts me.
No, there's a handful that I've seen. But here's the thing.
How have you gone through life and never seen The Godfather?
Because
I don't understand
language, and I have because here's
The Godfather doesn't have bad language.
I just kind of assumed it didn't. It's violent and all that.
It's about family. It's kind of like a rom-com in a way.
I don't know. I just always assumed that
it's like a man.
Really
it's a man. No.
If I turn a movie on and there's a blankety blank 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 blank, I just like I start turning off.
Godfather was made back in the 70s before movies started getting like that.
I don't know, man.
It was based off of a book, and the actual author of the book was one of the producers.
Okay.
So
my thing is,
it's a story of the American mob.
Okay. Well, I knew the premise of it, and I know there's like a horse head that does something, and there's like somebody puts a horse head in a bed or something.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I know those kinds of things from it, but I've never seen it. And
it was kind of the way that it was kind of like the true story, kind of how like the mob kind of built Vegas, and it was great.
But I was raised in a household where if there was bad language, sexual innuendo, all that kind of stuff, we weren't allowed to watch it. And so there was a song, Chicka Boom, that we had, and my daddy got a hold of it and he threw it. I mean, that was one of the first times somebody had brought this. I don't know if my sister liked it and wanted to buy it, and then he heard it and was like, "Not in my house," and got rid of it. And those kinds of things. And we weren't allowed to watch Three's Company. We just weren't. And so anything that was possibly going to be rough, we just didn't go see it. And you figured, I grew up in an era before you had VCRs and all those things. If you wanted to see something, you had to see it in the theater.
Yeah, you go to the movie theater.
Yeah. Or you would see the edited version maybe.
On TV or something,
on television. I don't know. Did they ever put Godfather on television?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's nothing they have unedited too. There's really not much to edit out of it. It was
really.
Yep. There's an actual TV show on Paramount about the making of The Godfather and all they had to go through. Okay. And I know we're totally scrolling here, but
yeah, we are.
They had a lot of pushback from the mob. The mob did not want them making the movie because it was going to be talking about their business and their thing, what they call our thing.
Yeah.
It's ever called our whatever it was called, Our Thing. Yeah. And they did not want it made because they didn't want the American public really knowing about how they handled business. Now they did. I know
that Sylvester Stallone's got a show out now that's
Tulsa
about
King.
the mob. And
modern day, yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah, it's all right.
But I've seen some of that through a filter. I have a thing called VidAngel. And if I can filter it through VidAngel, I will watch it. I love Sylvester Stallone. I love Sylvester Stallone, and I just think he's an interesting dude.
I think Tulsa King's pretty decent.
Okay,
decent show.
But there's a thing if you have the VidAngel app, there's a thing where you can turn on your filters and
remove the violence. You can remove the cussing,
anything
sexual stuff,
you can remove it all. And everybody's like, is there anything left in some movie? Sometimes not so much.
Well, to say that, so there was like certain movies like growing up when I was a kid, things like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, 16 Candles, terrible. A lot of these other shows, I only watched them. I grew up on them, but I watched them on TV. Yeah. So I'd get the edited version. You go watch the unedited version now.
Whoa.
Yeah. I remember I was like, oh yeah, we'll watch this movie like in class, right? I was going to watch a movie in class. I think I got like 2 minutes in and I'm like, I couldn't get to my stop button quick enough.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I don't remember this scene. I don't remember the language being like this. Because, you know, we all, you know, as a kid or back in the 80s, you always got the edited version of something. Where they would go through and change the language, but now you're getting it in like real life, and you're like, "Wow, I did not," you know.
This is definitely Faith Friday stuff because what do you filter from your family? And VidAngel, if you've not discovered it, go check it out. I had a show that we loved, the dinosaur show that showed dinosaurs, not the mama where the baby dinosaur hit the daddy with the pot all the time. It was kind of like done as a parody of the Honeymooners kind of thing. And kind of that same kind of feel. And we got a kick out of that show when my kids were little. And so I thought, I'm going to get that and show that to my grandkids. Oh, no, because unedited, it's not for kids. Yep. Not at all. It's more of an adult,
adult humor,
Adult Swim kind of cartoon
they're
or whatever.
Powerpuff Girls. That was a big thing when my girls were little. You go back and watch it now, it's like, wow, what were they doing? I mean, totally indoctrinating.
Really?
Completely. Do you remember the Powerpuff Girls?
Not at all.
It was a Cartoon Network show. Little girls would walk around with these little Powerpuff Girls shirts all the time. But you had one of their arch nemesis was a transvestite devil.
Really?
It was one of the nemesis on there, and there was a lot of other things in the show. It's like, wow, this is like really
what?
Not good.
My goodness.
And so now you look at my girl's age and what people age group has been putting this whole sexual movement is my kid's age.
Yeah.
Why? Because they were taught at an early age through cartoons, and that's why it's important for parents to be paying attention. What are your kids watching?
You better believe.
You know, we live in a world where where their parents today are just throwing the iPad or the phone at the kid. Kids are watching something. You're not really paying attention to what they're watching, and when the girls were watching, I didn't have my belief system that I have today.
So you didn't think anything about it,
I did, but I didn't. It didn't tweak me as much as it would today.
Yeah.
But now, I'm like, wow, what was I thinking? No wonder why this generation's so, tore up over this stuff. And it is literally that age group that's pushing like the whole trans movement and all this other stuff. It's because they were taught it when they were little bitty kids watching the Powerpuff Girls that,
Yeah.
about transvestites.
Well, and I talk to the kids all the time because I'm in audio and video. I talk to them all the time about what they're watching and what they're doing. I talk to them a lot about the accessibility of online gambling because I've had students come to me and talk to me because they know I work with Celebrate Recovery, the Recovery Court Board. I'm on the Recovery Court Board, and they gave me a plaque several years ago for being part of the recovery community. And I keep it in my room to remind the kids that that's an aspect of what I do. And so they ask me about things. And I've had kids come to me and tell me I'm addicted to gambling. Oh. And also, they haven't admitted it, but when I start talking about addiction, I always throw in the pornography addiction and the look on their faces. Because those kids, what they're accessing, they're destroying what they're going to have. What God meant for beauty and good, through marriage relationships, they're destroying it because of the poison that they're looking at.
It's not just today, though. It's not just today.
Because accessibility now is just the magazines.
The thing, it's beyond just that. It's like today, like movies today. So it's okay. Today they have the TikToks, we get the things in shorter clips. I'm gonna go back to like our generation, or my generation. I know there's about 10 years gap, but we're still pretty much the same. So as a kid watching things like, okay, I'm gonna stick with like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. We had movies like that. And movies when I was a kid, they don't make movies like this anymore. They don't. Yeah. Like we had. Almost every movie that was centered towards kids and teenagers involved sex, drugs, and alcohol. Yes. And parties. Yeah. Every movie. Drugs and rock and roll. 16 Candles. I know. I used to have a massive thing for Molly Ringwald. She was my little teenage dream girl. Yeah. And every single one of her movies was all about sex, drugs, and partying. Yeah. Every single one. Fast Times at Ridgemont High has a scene where one teenager is teaching another teenager how to conduct oral something or other.
Yeah.
In the lunchroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we watched and witnessed, and okay, that became our normal. So it's been around for a long time to sit there and say, okay, this generation that, but no, it's gotten progressively worse. And I was talking with somebody recently about, we're talking about just like the history of pornography. Back in our grandparents' age, the folks in World War II, if anything, it showed maybe a little topless, showed the hints of the nether regions in the old magazines. Then it started progressively worse to where now they're starting to,
it's just
a little bit more.
There's nothing left for mystery at all.
Right. There's no mystery. It progressively gets worse and worse as we allow that bar to drop. Just like my argument with education, we're lowering the bar. We're getting a worse set of standards.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between freedom of speech and just kind of common sense, and just when we start normalizing things. But it's to say that, okay, yes, this generation, like from TikTok, and that's what started this rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, we're
was
going
like
down
TikTok, and part of it, and I'm very anti-TikTok and this stuff because I've sat in a classroom. That's the kids will literally sit there for the entire class period, going through TikTok after TikTok after TikTok. So why not use it for good?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Why not use it for good?
Yeah, that's why
I can sit here and complain about it all day long, which again, and I think that's what started too.
If you want the world to change, you have to want to change the world.
You need to be part of it. So maybe
if you want TikTok to change, you have to
be willing to get on there, make some positive TikToks that maybe will catch their interest. But you're right. For people today, and it's not just kids either. Adults, you're finding adults are doing it too. Adults will, it used to be back in the day, you sat down with the Reader's Digest on the toilet. Today, you're sitting down with your phone,
and nobody knows what you're doing except you and the Lord.
And you'll sit there and even if you're just watching stupid cat videos or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you're wasting all this time because our attention spans have become so short. We want just that next. So might as well try. I'm gonna try to hopefully use it for benefit.
Yeah.
And I'm a little apprehensive, on it just because. Who wants to see my 53-year-old face on a TikTok? I don't know. I think that's the enemy kind of talking too.
Yeah.
Again, I think I have a good face for radio.
You're at you.
But I am a little apprehensive on it because is it going to be? I think that's just kind of the enemy talking a little bit. You got to be willing to put yourself out there, and I've got some wisdom on. I can't tell you to have a perfect marriage. I can't tell you to have a perfect life. As a counselor, but I can give you some wisdom and things that I've learned along the way. I think that is what makes me a decent counselor is that I've made my mistakes. I continue to make mistakes, but I have the tools available to me to work through the mistakes. So kind of what got me going down this path, you probably need to take a break here momentarily too.
Yeah.
I've been looking at the time for you. But I think what kind of got me down the path, and I encourage other folks to do it too, is when I had my bottom, another pastor friend of mine is like, hey, he has struggled with porn addiction and sex addiction and alcoholism himself too. He's like, first thing you do is you need to find a counselor, then you need to find meetings. And the way he described it was going to the counselor or the therapist is kind of like, okay, you blew your knee out. Now you go to the orthopedic surgeon. And after you see your orthopedic surgeon, then you need to go to physical therapy. And that's where the meetings come into place. So it'll be Celebrate Recovery, AA, or, whatever, step program or group program you can find. And it's okay to go to the doctor. We're going to worry about our physical health all the time. You go do your checkups, and to see a counselor or a therapist isn't okay. Yeah, you see them if you're having serious ongoing problems. Yeah, you'll make regular scheduled trips with your doctor. We'll do the same thing with the mental health side. But the problem happens all the time is that folks get to a point and they get complacent and like, oh, I'm good. I'm healthy now. I don't need to go to the doctor.
Right.
Oh, I'm not feeling this problem. Instead of doing the checkups, the check-ins. So, next thing you know, I'll get a phone call from a client I haven't heard from in a year because they're now back in crisis again because they stopped cutting back, at least doing a monthly check-in with your doctor
Right.
to make sure that your cancer hasn't come back, to make sure you're right. So do the same with your therapist,
Right.
with your counselor. Maintain it. If working with a counselor got your life on track, why are you stopping?
Yeah.
It's because you get complacent and the enemy creeps in. Because that's you've heard from me many times. The enemy, one of the enemy's number one favorite words is complacency.
Mm-hmm.
He loves when we get complacent because then we let our guards down and old coping mechanisms start stepping back in, and we stop doing the things that got us successful.
Yeah. Let's pause for a second. And we're talking with Matt Driscoll. This is Faith Friday. We're trying to kind of lean into Christian counseling and those kinds of things, but he and I have been friends a long time, so we're going down a lot of rabbit holes. And trying to beat back that word complacency, because complacency in everything we do keeps us from being everything that God's called us to be. We just want to remind you on the UPS store side, one of our sponsors here at One Street Over, they're changing their hours this weekend. I talked a little bit about this the first of the week, and I did, take a look and confirm that, yes, that does happen this weekend. They are going to new hours Saturday and Sunday. I'm sorry, I'm having allergy issues today, big time. So Saturday, their new hours are going to be 9 to 3. Saturday, their new hours are 9 to 3, and Sunday, 10 to 3. Those updated store hours happen this weekend, and again, that's Monday through Friday. They're still open 8 to 6:30, 8 to 6:30, and then the new hours on Saturday are 9 to 3, Sunday from 10 to 3. Now, they do have the shredding still at 25% off if you want to come in while you're trying to get all your tax stuff together. They'll take care of that for you. Because you get to that point where, okay, I've got to keep it so many years. Now you've got some that you can get rid of every year that changes. You got to shred that stuff. You don't want to just throw personal items in the trash, because the people out there are fishing from that. I had somebody take some of my stuff one time when I was moving into my apartment down in Texas, when I was working down there, commuting back and forth. I had a little girl offer to help me, and something told me something was wrong. And she was in the apartment too long without me. And then, the next week, I had a credit card I wasn't using that all of a sudden started getting used. And it was just too much of a coincidence. People will use that stuff. If you're not getting that stuff shredded, you've got to do that. So they've got 20% off shredding, and go back and get that coupon. And then maybe you're like me, you do a tax extension. So when you do your taxes in the fall, you can bring that shredding coupon out and still use it if you hang on to it. They have got, of course, notaries. Everybody there is a notary. If you have to do one of an old-fashioned fax, they can still do those there at the UPS store. And, of course, it's where you drop off your Amazon packages. And it's very, very conveniently located at 513 Memorial Boulevard here in Springfield. They've got the little kiosk over to the left. It's a self-service kiosk. I've used it. User-friendly, easy, effortless. If you've got something too big to fit in the slots, you do have to go ahead and go to the counter, but you're going to love working with the folks there. They're so courteous and kind. If you love the people at Chick-fil-A, you're going to love the UPS folks even more, because they are even more courteous and kind and helpful. They can do all your printing. Again, they can take care of your notary stuff. If you want a mailbox, you can have a mailbox there, so you don't have to worry about porch pirates. You can bring it there, and then they have hours to suit everybody's needs, open 7 days a week. Monday through Friday, they're open from 8 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. Saturday, they're there 9 to 3. And now Sunday from 10 to 3, those new hours go into effect this weekend at our UPS store. Get by there today. One more time on the address, 513 Memorial Boulevard in Springfield, or you can give them a call at 615-384-0093, 615-384-0093, and please always let them know U-Turn sent ya. Matt Driscoll's in the house. CR, that's one of the things you were talking about, how that people will be like, oh, I'm good. I've heard people say, I used to go to CR, but I'm all better now. You get kind of to a place where you're thinking, oh, do I really need to go do this? Do I need to go do this? If you don't, you're going to forget what you learned, and you're going to have, you've got to have those reminders constantly of the priorities that you need to have in your life spiritually. And I
think that's a part of the Trinity a lot of people forget.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a gentleman this week. He was kind of drugged into the counseling session, more or less, by his mate.
Mm-hmm.
And his mentality was, well, I just got to rely on God for this. I rely on God. I'm okay. Well, by coming and doing counseling, you are relying upon God. God is here. And I think that's a part of the Trinity that people don't quite understand. You have God the Father. God the Father is the one that's keeping this world spinning. He's the one that's out here giving us fresh leaves on the trees and the Radford pears that are beautiful right now, right? That's God the Father. You have God the Son that showed us how to live the perfect life. And then God the Spirit, that's the part where I think people don't quite understand how God the Spirit works. God the Spirit is going to work through that counselor. If you have a good Christian counselor speaking from a place of love and biblically, that's God. That is God working. God can fix anything, but God's going to utilize other people, and that's scriptural. Why did God give Adam a helper? He realized being alone was not right. They needed somebody, and it's important that we do come together. And it's okay to bounce things off people. But God will use those people that he puts in your life to give you counsel. Now, granted, God is the great counselor. That's one of his titles. But he's also going to do it through other people. Talking with somebody just yesterday, you've heard the whole story about the person dealing with Katrina. The cops came by, hey, the flood's coming in. They knock on the door, and we need to get you out of here. Now God's got my back. And then the flood continues to come up, and the person's up on the second floor, and the fire department comes by in a little bitty boat, and they're like, hey, come on, hop in the boat. Flood's rising, you're going to die. No, I don't, leave me alone. God's got me covered. And then finally the floods keep on going and going. Now the guy's up on the roof. A helicopter comes over and says, hey, hop on board. We'll get you out here to safety. Don't worry about it. God's got my back. Yeah. Eventually the dude succumbs to the waters and dies. Gets up to heaven, and first thing he asks God is, hey, where were you? I thought you had my back. He says, I was. I sent you a cop. I sent you a fireman. I sent you a helicopter. What more can I do? Yeah. And, God is going to send your counselors to you. He's going to send people to you. That's the Holy Spirit. Right. That silly analogy is a prime example of how the Holy Spirit is going to work in your life. There's nothing wrong with going and talking to somebody, whether it be one-on-one with a counselor, whether it be to a group, I guess like Celebrate Recovery, AA, or sometimes even maybe like a grief share if you've gone through a loss, going to a grief share group. The folks in there have gone through it too. You're there to walk through it together. A lot of times in the grief share groups, you got folks that their grief is just very recent. Some folks it's older. So the folks that have been at it for a little while and have a little bit of wisdom on how to deal with different parts of grief, they can be able to help kind of hold your hand and guide you through the process. If you're fresh to a loss, there's just so many benefits to having counseling and therapy. So right now we're actually I'm incorporating the horses and the goats. So like last night I had somebody come over. I'm doing it out of the house. And the person came over right around feeding time anyways. And Christy was out of town. So I had to do all the chores. So she just kind of walked around with me as we fed the animals. And once that was done, we went and we sat them. I made a little bench in our mini goats. And we just sat there and watched the goats eat and talk. And she's like, wow, this is really calming. Yeah. So we're really starting to try to incorporate that as well too. Yeah. So some of my counseling sessions can be normal. I have a little office at the house. We'll either sit in the office and talk like a normal counseling room. Maybe we'll go sit down with the goats. Maybe we'll go sit down with the horses. I'm not gonna have you ride horses, but maybe we'll grab one of the horses and groom them. Right. But a couple of them, they're super sweet. And horses, like animals, like goats, horses, the animals that I use are prey animals. So prey animals, generally their hearing is hypersensitive, so they're going to hear your heartbeat. And if your heart's racing, well, their heart is going to cause their heart to race. They're going to sense your vibe. It just kind of brings you, it calms you down where you can open up. So there's a lot of benefits there. Like I said, for me, if I'm having a bad day, I just go sit out with my girls, like my goats, my little mini goats. Your bad day just goes away. There's just something about it.
You can't be sad around little goats.
No, because they're cute as all get up. And it's just kind of an unconditional, hey, how you doing, human? How you doing? What do you got for me? Yeah. But there's you gotta have counseling. It is biblical. Whether you're you don't have to be like, oh, I'm in the middle of this addiction or that, or it could just be like, I'm just struggling with life right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something going on that I'm just not right. I can't figure it out. I'm not finding my purpose, or it could be the smallest things that you just may need to go bounce something off. It doesn't have to be every week. Maybe do once a month. Yeah. Do a checkup like you would with a doctor. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's been kind of one of the hardest parts about being a counselor, especially in Robertson County. We're a little bit more of a rural community where we have that rural mentality where we don't talk about things outside of our four walls.
I'm fine.
Yeah, we don't talk about the things out of our four walls. Now, if I had started this business in Sumner or something a little bit more progressive type county, I'd probably be thriving. Mm-hmm. It's been a hard county to really crack a nut into.
Well, the people who I have met through Celebrate Recovery, because we've been hosting a Celebrate Recovery at Madison over 4 years now, and the people that still come up and talk to me about how that I couldn't imagine telling people that, they don't really trust. They don't trust people at all. And here, you know what? It's one of those things. It's not about trusting people. It's you. Man, we got to work so hard at getting past that, and that's something that I guess for a while I was of that ilk, but it's not about trusting people. It's just about giving it to the Lord, and it's like how you feel about it. I really don't care anymore.
It's about.
I don't care what people think about me. I'm just going to be what He's called me to be, and that's all I can.
And that change is not going to weigh me down anymore.
No, man. I mean, that's just it. And I feel so sorry for people who can't just bear it.
It's free.
I don't. I just.
Well, think about biblically, from a biblical sense. I'll go. I mean, it happened many times. But I'll just say like David and Bathsheba after he loses his kid. Mm-hmm. It says that he just basically goes in, rips open his robe, bears himself. And the reason for the ripping of the robe was, okay, look, there's nothing on him. I'm laying here naked in front of you, Lord. There's absolutely nothing stopping that dagger. Here I am as raw as the day I came out of the womb. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what letting your stuff go does. It's you ripping off that robe, saying, "Look,
that's a really good analogy."
That here I am as raw as the day as I came out of the womb, and it's not going to have any control over me.
Right.
Look, I was sexually abused as a child, and a lot of men won't admit that. But one out of six statistics say 1 out of 6 men have been sexually abused. I would never admit that open in public forever. Why? Because I felt shame and guilt because men aren't supposed to have that stuff happen to them. Right. That if somebody did that to me, I'd kill them. Yeah. Well, that's not the reality. But unfortunately, I took that abuse that happened to me and I turned it into a lot of negatives. That led into my sexual addiction and my proclivity for chasing women that weren't my wife. Mm. And that did play a major role. But the hard part comes is you've got to humble yourself, be willing to say, yes, this trauma happened, this thing happened, and here's what it caused. Yeah. And you're going to have that through counseling. So you want to figure out why you do some of the same things you do. So we'll sit down with a counselor. You may not have a major addiction. Maybe your addiction's like you're a workaholic. Okay, well, why are you such a workaholic? Because somewhere along the way, somebody told you were stupid, you couldn't do something, or you felt insignificant. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's work past that. That way you can have a nice full life.
So, I mean, that's the thing. And if you're somebody that you really maybe need to unpack it just with somebody like Matt first before you go to a big group, but we do invite you to come and be a part of CR. I got to get to a couple of breaks here, and we're going to be out of time really quickly. But I know it's testimony night at Calvary Baptist this Sunday night, and they meet at 5. So that would be a really good thing to maybe add to something that you're going to do this week while you're on spring break, is to tap in. Man, I'm having a time this morning at 5 o'clock on Sunday. And you can give Matt a call for Christian counseling. Give him your number again, and then I'm going to slide into the rest of my ads here.
All right, 615-598-3848, 615-598-3848. And I will put this on. I'll type this here in the comments, too.
That would be great. Put it in comments and do it on the LaVern, U-Turn LaVern page and the WSGI page, because we have 2 different feeds that go out. And the way Facebook's set up now, if you don't put it on the one particular one, it doesn't carry over things. They're trying to protect us all from all the spam. You know how Facebook is fixing everything. We want to talk about my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty, because they will be here on Tuesday. A chance for you to, talk to them personally. We might even take a few phone calls if somebody wants to call in. We'll just have to entrust that you're not going to say something inappropriately on the air. But anyway, we're a small town. We know we're bigger than better than that. But we'll get Barry and Rebecca in here to answer your questions about the real estate community and what you need to be ready for. If you're getting ready, I mean, what are the things that you need to do? Maybe you need a realtor to come through. Have Barry and Rebecca come through and say, we're thinking about putting our property on the market. We think it's worth this. Well, first thing they're going to do is they're going to give you a free market analysis. It's going to say, here's what you can reasonably expect your property to be valued at in this area. And it's based upon what properties around you are selling for that are of comparable size. Maybe yours is very unique and it's very different. Then it's going to take that into consideration. Well, once you have a ballpark idea of what your property is worth, then they're going to help you walk through it and say, well, why don't you do this? This is something you can do. Maybe clean up that a little bit, make it a little bit more curb appeal. You might need to have a home inspection before it's forced upon you, because the minute that they come in and you get a contract on a home, sometimes the home inspection is the thing that's going to hold it up before you can actually move forward with that. And maybe there's something going on you're not aware of. Those are the kinds of things you need to consider before you put your home out on the market. What are the interest rates right now and how do they impact what you're going to be buying? Well, really, Barry will tell you all the time that interest rates, if they're high, that means housing prices are lower. If interest rates go down, housing prices go up. It balances out. It's always a good time to buy. Try not to let that influence you too heavy on when you're going to get into the market. If you want to be a realtor, they would love to mentor you and have you come in and work with them. They have an office in downtown. They have the brokerage office that Barry works out of here in Springfield. And then Rebecca has her agency office up in White House. They are part of Exit Prime Realty, a new branch in the Exit Tree that began a couple of years ago. And they still have access to a broker that can broker deals in Kentucky through Rebecca's office up in White House. And the laws have changed up in Kentucky. If you're looking at property in Kentucky, make sure you have a realtor that can broker deals in Kentucky. Not all can anymore. So keep that in mind. And they can talk to you about the benefits of maybe living in a state that still has an income tax, but working in a state that doesn't. How's that going to affect your bottom line and how much home you can buy? Whether it's buying or selling, whether you want to be a realtor, whatever it might be, talk to Barry and Rebecca today. You can Google them. That's the best way to find them. Just Google Barry Richards, Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty, or you can go and check out sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, B-U-Y, robertsoncounty.com, or you can give them a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425 or 7424, and be sure and let them know you turned sent you. Now, a couple of things I want to remind you of before we wrap things up with Matt. Tonight, they are going to light the sign at Capitol Theater. This is super exciting. We're all so stoked about this. We're so thankful for the development and all that's happening. I think it's happening at 7:30. Let's see. Tonight, 6 to 6:50. They're going to have T-shirts there available for sale. 7 o'clock, northbound lanes of Main Street are going to be closed and made available to everybody to gather and partake in the festivities. Special presentation from Danny Ashley, the VP, of course, of our Historical Society. And then we're going to see a few we're going to hear some classic songs from Steve Jarrell. 7:10 to 7:20, 7:20, presentation and lighting of the projection sign, free popcorn while it lasts, going to be a great time. And then they're going to have, there's going to be some of the things that are going to stay open late. Public House, Willie Mae's Barbecue, Soap Factory, BS Brew Works, Coat Tavern, Historic Park, some of the things that are going to be open a little bit later for the event. And then we also want to remind you of the big deal that's happening on Saturday. This is Super Saturday on the Square at Crossroads. You're going to have a Meet the Authors Day starting at 11, going until 1. Well in the Square has got some great dance classes for you. You can take each one for $10, or I think $25 will get you all 3 classes. They've got fun and fitness, line dancing at noon, stretching and low impact movement at 1, 4 o'clock basic East Coast swing classes. Lee Marie is one of the best when it comes to teaching this stuff. She's taught thousands and thousands, and you're going to love working with her at Well in the Square. So go on down and check all these things out on Saturday. It's just going to be a wonderful time to be on the downtown square tonight and tomorrow. Oh, and also too, I'm trying to think of the name. Sharp, and I'm trying to think of them. It's they're opening. Okay, let me go back here. Give me just a second here, Matt, and we'll wrap this up. But we've got Burtis Ridge of Sharp and Ridge Trading Company. They're having their grand opening tomorrow. Free barbecue. Doors are opening at 10. They're going to have free food starting at around 11, he said, and you get to check out their new space as well. There's going to be all kinds of stuff going on. It's going to be a good time this week, tonight and tomorrow, downtown Springfield. Wrap us up, Matt. Parting thoughts. Oh, hang on. Let me turn your mic back, folks.
All right. Parting thoughts. Thank you for having me on. Again, if you're out there and you're struggling with something or you just want to look for a little improvement, reach out to me. Reach out to a counselor. I put the number on both the sites here on the Facebook. Reach out to somebody. There's no shame in it. It's okay to be not okay.
Amen. Amen.
Find a counselor with male, female, preferably Christian if you're a believer. Just find something. We're not meant to go into this alone. So by all means,
better believe it. And even if you're not a believer, reach out to us because everybody's looking for something, and that's something that you're missing. I give you a hint. It's Jesus.
I'm not going to pound the Bible in your head, but I'm going to definitely share what the Lord's done for me. And then I'm going to get out of the way and let God do His thing.
Amen.
So don't get hung up on the whole. Well, this person's a Christian counselor. Just realize that where I'm coming from is not so much try to hit you with the word, but I'm allow the word to work through me and talk in the language, and hopefully just let God do His job. That it's not going to be this secular thing that just say, oh, it's okay if you want. I've had some folks come to me with some crazy ideas. I should be allowed to do this, and some secular therapist might tell them that person that's okay that they do this one particular thing.
Yeah.
It's just not right.
Well, and so I had.
I'm gonna call a ball, strike a strike.
Well, and here's the thing. If you get to know Him, you're going to figure out what's best for your life. And so you just reach out to somebody, guys. Again, counseling is for everybody. You need somebody to talk to, whether you realize it or not. Again, come to Celebrate Recovery up at Calvary on Sunday, 5 o'clock. It is a testimony. You're going to see evidence of what God can do with a life change. Give Matt a call and find a church home. Find a place just to be in the body and worship this weekend. Spend some time worshiping, and it will change your life. I promise you. And if you want the world to change, you got to want to change the world. Get your hands dirty. Get out there. It's going to give you more than what you will end up receiving more than you ever get.
Get in the mud. Best way to make mulch. You got to get your hands in there and turn it over.
Absolutely.
Best way to do that is get your hands in there.
And if you want to be distracted from the stress going on in your own life, get busy for others.
The best mulch is when your hands are in the poop.
And on that note, we're done. Thank you, Matt, for joining us. And join Lee Marie. She's going to be filling in for me on Monday here on The Go Show. Enjoy your spring break, everybody. I'll be back with you on Tuesday. Thank you, guys, for joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a great day.